register yourself in using the link that have been sent in the chat box. And for those who have filled out, we are very grateful that you have filled out, and thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another webinar brought to you by Petra Christian University Industrial Engineering Department. I am Stefano Nyoto from PCU's IPE department, and once again, I would like to thank you to join us in this event. Today's event is a collaboration between Petra Christian University and University College Sedaya International, Malaysia. COVID-19, Resilience Through Logistics is the title to be discussed today. And we are very lucky to have the experts in logistics to be with us this afternoon. We are honored to have Mr. Prashanth Beleya, a professional technologist from Malaysian Board of Technologists and a lecturer at University College Sedaya International, Malaysia. Alongside with Mr. Prashanth, we have Mr. Gede Agus Widyadana, Ph.D., Head of E-Logistic of PCU's Industrial Engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, before we head to the main event, please allow me to lead us in a prayer, and I will lead in Christian. Let's pray. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for this wonderful afternoon. Thank you for our healthy body, our healthy mind, and thank you for letting us gather in this meeting room this afternoon. Father in heaven, we thank you that during this pandemic, we can still be here. We can still try to learn new stuff through this webinar. Hopefully, we can learn a lot of new stuff so that we can be resilient throughout this pandemic. Thank you, Jesus. In the name of Jesus, we have prayed. Amen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we start our webinar, I would like to introduce the head of Petra Christian University Industrial Engineering Department, Dr. Harry Christian Palit, and he will welcome us with his opening speech. So please welcome Dr. Harry Christian Palit. Good afternoon, Mr. Harry.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to welcome all of you for participating in this webinar. This webinar series is held in collaboration between Industrial Engineering Petra Christian University and UCSI University, Malaysia. I would like to say special thanks to our honorable guest speaker today, Mr. Gede Agus Widyadana, Ph.D., and also Mr. Prashanth Beleya. And once again, thank you to all of you for joining this webinar, and I hope all of you gain valuable knowledge and information from this webinar. Please enjoy this webinar, and thank you very much. Thank you, Nyoto.
Thank you, Mr. Harry, for the warm welcome. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in this occasion, please welcome Mr. Roland Chan, a representative from UCSI Malaysia, a senior manager at Global Engagement Office from UCSI Malaysia. Please welcome Mr. Roland Chan.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, Pak Henry. It's really an honor to be in this event today. Indeed, UCSI University and Petra Christian University have established a close partnership. And today is just another milestone of this partnership to see that this industrial engineering webinar series titled COVID-19 Resilience Through Logistics. Indeed, we are grateful that we can share the experience. And we hope that this platform will be the another platform for us to engage more. And I hope that today webinar, which is timely, exactly in terms of the topics, particularly during this pandemic crisis that affecting both country. And one of the sectors that been affected is the logistic sector. We can see there are a lot of pitfall due to the pandemic crisis. But at the same time, we also see there are many new changes and adaptations, particularly the development of the e-commerce, as well as the emphasis of the digitizations of this industry. Because I hope that this webinar will give a lot of benefit, insightful information to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roland Chan for the opening remarks. And without further ado, we will get straight into our topic today. And please welcome our moderator, Ms. Felecia from Petra Christian University Industrial Engineering Department.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, Nyoto. Welcome to our webinar series, Resilience Through Logistics. Today, we have a good opportunity to discuss together what we have gone through for this past more than 1 year COVID. And we know that this COVID has disrupting the global distribution. And this one, we want to know this time, we want to discuss on how the logistics can help to support and protecting the people in this kind of difficult situation. And we have two distinguished speakers today. Nyoto has mentioned before. So Mr. Prashanth Beleya, he's a professional technologist for Malaysian Board of Technologists and also lecturers from UCSI University. Mr. Prashanth also have a lot of awards and also has a lot of experience in the academic sectors and also in industrial sectors. So we will learn a lot from Mr. Prashanth today. And the second speakers will be Pak Gede Agus Widyadana. He's a head of E-Logistic and Industrial Engineering for Petra Christian University. But Gede also has a lot of experience in the logistic area and also has a lot of experience in the industrial experience. Without further ado, we will give the first chance to Mr. Prashanth Beleya to present his PPT, and we can learn more from him. Please, Mr. Prashanth, we give the time to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Felecia. Just before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Petra Christian University, Dr. Harry, Felecia, Dr. Gede. Thank you so much for having me today. It's an honor to be able to share some of my experience and some information with everyone here. Let me just share my screen here. I think everyone can see this, right? All right, thank you so much. Now, the topic for today that we're going to discuss is on resilience through logistics. And there has not been a day actually in this past 1.5 years, all right, ever since the pandemic, COVID-19. I think every one of us, every day at least once, we are either mentioning that word COVID-19 or we are hearing it from someone through the news channels or anywhere like that. That has been how this event that we call a black swan event, actually, it's very unprecedented, unexpected, but it has taken place. It is still taking place. Now, due to this, lives have changed, individuals have changed, their behaviors have changed. The corporate world themselves, they have been taken aback by surprise, actually, from a negative perspective, and they're facing various kinds of challenges in realigning themselves to get back on the ground and trying to do whatever it takes at present to just survive and pull through. That is how it has been. So I think with all of us here today, I could just take a moment to say that we are all blessed and to be able to be here for this talk. And I think that in itself is such a positive thing. So what has happened actually due to this black swan event, due to this COVID-19, we have seen the very essential nature of logistics, the basic perspectives of this business itself being highlighted by coronavirus crisis. Okay, we've been seeing all over the world the rush. They want PPEs, which are personal protective equipments, and everywhere we see, every country we see is about replenishing stocks. Okay, they ran out of stocks of various things. Okay, you name it, and basically the world ran out of stocks, their inventory. That is how it has been for quite some time. Even until today, we see certain countries struggling to cope due to the unavailability of vaccines, for that matter, whether it's even the sanitizers, the face masks, they're still trying to replenish. And when I went through, when we were discussing with some of our friends, and we saw this, in terms of Southeast Asia, right? What exactly people were looking on online, and what is it that they wanted to buy. And if you could see that Singapore, Indonesia, all our neighboring countries, we were much into the healthcare side of it. Okay, in terms of products, if you look at, say, if I take Malaysia, the highest increase in search was basically a face mask, and that was at about 648% late last year, early this year. And if you look at other countries, Indonesia, Vietnam, this is how it was. People were scouting around, okay, for basically the essential items. That is what we were looking at. So we split it. It was split into three, actually, in terms of medical supplies, face masks, and even groceries. This is how the logistics industry was looking at dispersing and connecting between individuals from this kind of perspective. So what have we seen actually in this past? We've been experiencing this in Malaysia since late February 2020 until now. What have we seen, not just in Malaysia, but in Southeast Asia and from a broader perspective? If you look at transportation, right, we see capacity having been evaporated. There was a time, early 2019, when the economy was still doing well. Ocean freight was about 90% of global trade. But we have seen capacity evaporated due to various issues facing multiple countries. And due to that, additionally, we've seen supply of manufactured goods here out of Asia suffer or dip. We can understand that China, India, and other parts of the world, even Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia, manufacturing goods to be exported to other countries, even the Western countries. But this black swan event has basically disrupted the flow of goods out of Asia. Additionally, when we look from an internal perspective, if you take Southeast Asia, we have been having cross-border restrictions. This is due to government policies of trying to protect country from being ravaged of whatever that is taking places. We've had driver shortages, okay, and this coupled with cross-border restrictions have created massive backlogs of movements. And one very interesting point is online buying, right? Customers, the end consumer like you and me. For me, I will take it personally that I'm not a fan of online buying until this black swan event took place, COVID-19. There was a shift. I had to, okay, there was no other way. I had to start looking online to purchase even groceries, for that matter, for the safety, for the security of us, individuals, our family, our friends, our colleagues, and to help the nation itself. And also, we saw this thing called omni-channel strategies, all right? Being on multiple channel platforms, we call it the BOPIs, buy online, pick up in-store models. It's not just buying online or you going and picking it up in stores. We've had more than that. Self pickups, deliveries, all right? basically omni-channels, even the retailers practicing omni-channels. We've seen retailers who have been traditionally brick and mortar companies aligning themselves towards omni-channel strategies. So basically, when this takes place, what are the challenges that we are looking at? This has posed great challenges to the logistics, to the supply chain. What we have seen is that delays, okay, from the very first place of consumption, which is the suppliers, which is the manufacturers, right up to us, you and me. We have about 173 of us here today, and I could safely say that one way or another, some of you or most of you would have faced some kind of delay in getting your products to your doorsteps. We have faced massive delays due to the pattern shifts that have taken place, due to restrictions, due to policy changes, due to various other aspects that have been affecting the business environment as a whole. And there have been questions on whether this crisis will actually alter global production and sourcing patterns. We have seen this thing, you would have heard that we outsource, we want to go to cheaper countries where labor is abundantly available, where it is much more cheaper to produce and all these kind of things. In the past, yes, but this crisis has taught us something, which I will share with you in a while as we go. And the question here is, will it alter? And the next one is that companies themselves, okay, manufacturers, all right, R&D companies, are they going to stay in the countries that they have been conducting their businesses thus far? Or are they planning other strategies? Are they going to still maintain outshoring, or are they going to reshore? Various kinds of strategies, various kinds of thinkings are taking place. Delivery process and methods, all right? Thank God today we have Uber, we have Food Panda, we have Grab. In Indonesia, you have various other platforms. If this pandemic had taken place, say 20 years ago, I wonder how would it have been that if you can't go out and you can't go and buy even food, how would it have been if we didn't have a Grab or Food Panda or Uber for that matter? So delivery processes, methods, this is going to be a challenge, and it is still a challenge. COVID-19, all right, we call it the bullwhip effect. Many of you know what bullwhip effect is. Basically, is a small change in patterns, all right, behavior patterns, or in terms of policies that would affect consumer demand on a larger scale. We have seen this, yeah. We don't need to take any other product. All you need to do is just look at face masks and sanitizers. As soon as the pandemic broke out here in Malaysia, there was about 1, 2, 3 months of people rushing to whichever store or whichever online platform that they could get to purchase sanitizers, face masks, and even gloves. Just from my experience, when this pandemic broke out in early March here in Malaysia, I found it so difficult to even get a sanitizer. It took me almost 2 months to get a sanitizer because everywhere I went, it was out of stock. So this bullwhip effect is here to stay, and we need to live with it. So this is why, okay, due to these challenges, due to these pattern shifts, okay, this is why the logistics sector has become ever so important, okay. We have been considered the dirty industry. We've been considered it's a men's industry, okay, ladies can't go in, it's not a good field to be there. But this pandemic has totally changed the perception of everyone involved because we are considered the saviors. Okay. Every movement that has taken place, from the vaccine, from the face mask, from the sanitizers, has involved logistics. Even food, we waiting for our Grab drivers or whoever to come and deliver it to us. That's logistics. So having a resilient logistics is absolutely important. But the bigger question is why? Why is it ever so important, not just now, but the future? Now, if we look at government policies that are being molded, developed, in the future, at least in the middle run or the long run, we are looking at more protectionism measures. The countries would rather protect the very nature of their industries before allowing more globalization. They have seen their industries ravaged, suffer due to this pandemic. The policies are going to be more on protectionism towards their own companies and industries. Number two is basically rising risk of adverse events. Basically, when we speak about the Black Swan event, like I told you just now, we started off with COVID-19. We didn't even know what it was. To me, at least, I didn't even know what it was. And then they said alpha variant, beta variant. Then we have come up now with the latest Delta variant. They say it's a killer. It could spread within 3 seconds, 5 seconds. And then we are having other kinds of sicknesses. We are having other kind of natural disasters that are taking place. Now, with this risk ever increasing, it becomes even more important for this logistics sector to become more resilient. And number three is where we look at sustainability, whether from suppliers, manufacturers, customers ourselves. We are looking at more sustainability measures in terms of handling, in terms of protection, in terms of the way we buy products. Everyone says go green, but it's just not go green. Who are we protecting it from? The social environment, business environment, or perhaps even the external environment. Sustainability pressures are growing, not just in one single country, but throughout the world. So that is why this is needed. But then the question comes, okay, you say resilient, then that was a why. But how do we do it? All right, how do we do it? It's how we strategize, right? So basically, I like to think of it as from a 3R perspective: rethink, reinvest, and reorganize. Now, rethinking here basically involves rethinking the strategies. We can no longer try to carry out our business activities from a singular perspective. Nope, that won't work. It needs more collaborative efforts. The logistics itself has to be incorporated within organizations, within the external environment. That is how we need to rethink, not just from that collaboration perspectives, but in terms of strategies. What do we do to become more sustainable? What do we do to overcome such protectionism measures? How do we cope if there happen to be another Black Swan event? That's one. Reinvest. We have always been investing, capital investments, putting money into where our return on investment is going to be quick and high. But that's no longer the case. We need to carefully consider our options. Where are we investing? Technology, automation, our workers, expertise? Are we looking into innovation? Are we looking into particular processes? Where is it that we need to invest? How do we get the supply chain integrated? Timely information. How do we do that? So we need to reinvest. And finally, we need to reorganize. Now, reorganize here relates to where and when we carry out our businesses. Who are our partners? We need to closely link together with our partners. We need to ensure that they are within striking distance. So the theme here is that rather than looking at a globalized perspective, now there has come a term called localized. Look local first. Organize yourself. Get your team together. Get your processes together from a local perspective first, before advancing and pursuing globalization. This is where we look at the 3 core pillars in terms of if we want to implement this model, okay? So we have to look at digital capabilities, vertical integration, and the commercial model. This is what I said just now is, where do we look? Whether it's technological advancements, automation, okay? This is where we look at digital capabilities. Vertical integration is the part that when I said that we need to link the players together. What the pandemic has taught us is that we need to work closely with our partners, the players along the supply chain, the logistics, the businesses. They need to comprehend each other. Without that, we cannot get things moving from point A to point B. That's the integration part. And when we speak about the commercial model, all right, we have seen third-party logistics, fourth-party logistics. Now we even have in Europe fifth-party logistics, who comprehensively conduct the entire movements of products, goods, packaging, raw material supplies for big organizations, from Siemens to Audis to BMWs. The commercial model of these companies must include logistics processes and functions. Then they are considered resilient. So where do we go in terms of resilience, right? We can't escape from this. IR 4.0 or Industry Revolution 4.0. Okay, we're not going to go into the depths of Industrial 4.0 today, but it's just to tell you that we are moving towards this, and actually at the right time. Companies who do not consider this revolution, who choose to ignore this revolution, would be left out completely. So we are looking at automation, connection, cloud computing. These have already been practiced by many corporations in Southeast Asia itself, but things need to move at a faster pace. They are moving at a faster pace, especially now after this Black Swan event. This is what we are looking at, okay, in terms of Internet of Things, augmented reality, robots, drones. Drones is very, very famous nowadays, okay. Artificial intelligence, blockchain. We are seeing the shipping industry practicing blockchain, okay, a transparent ledger where everyone is aware of what the contract is, okay. There's no such thing as middlemen taking over the contracts. Everything is transparent, accountable. Virtual realities, okay. It has become a norm these days, virtual realities, that we can't go out, we can't see so many things. They are being developed to teach students, even employees in organizations, to carry out the activities. Virtual reality is coming into play. Robots, big manufacturing grounds. You name the companies and they have some kind of a small element of robots in their manufacturing plants, in their warehouses, even in other processes. Autonomous vehicles. All right, it has already been on trial in certain countries, in certain states, although the results have not been entirely conclusive, but this is where we are moving. This is what is needed. These are some of the examples, right? In terms of logistics, as I said, we have the drone facilities, autonomous robots, vehicles is being developed. Blockchain especially, that is a big one, okay, in terms of commercial model. That is a big one that is revolutionizing the industry. Okay, smart manufacturing, companies like Audi, Siemens, they have already incorporated smart factories. You take Tesla, if you look at their factories, they are a fully smart factory. You have very minimal human movements inside, and that is one of the reasons that they have continued to operate even with such adverse effects of COVID. The constructions itself, the industry, semi-automated, awesome robots that have been taking place. These are some of the examples that have been taking place through Industry 4.0 revolutions. And as a conclusion, right, we've seen pattern shifts, we've seen why, how in the logistics side. And just as a conclusion that logistics has been identified, has been recognized as an absolute important business partner of any organization. And we need to integrate the plans, the processes, the strategies of any business, and we would see them becoming more resilient in the future. And I'd just like to end this with a quote, okay? The hardest choices require the strongest wills. And that is what we have been facing, companies have been facing, but we need to move forward. We need to recognize the changes that are taking place. And with that, we can certainly develop resilient models and move forward. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Prashanth, for the presentation. Yeah, in this such a short time, we already got so many information from you. And we want to remind all the participants, if you have any question for Mr. Prashanth or for Pak Gede, you can type it on the form that was given by the committee in the chat box, and I will bring the question at the end after Pak Gede presentation. For the second presentation, I will give the time to Pak Gede Agus Widyadana to share the material. Please, Pak Gede.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Felecia. It is my pleasure to share a little bit about logistic today. Let me share my presentation. Okay. Today I just explain a little bit about little part of logistic. This is a last mile logistic. I give a topic of my talk today: last mile logistic COVID-19 challenge. Okay, let me start with a story. Today, in the COVID-19 pandemic time, usually we spend our time home, especially for students, and most of us would be miss of our friends. Just think that she miss her friends and she want to meet a new friend. So she think she want a new friend. So she think she want to have a teddy bear. Therefore, she can start to get her new friend from brick and mortar stores, okay, or maybe she can get her new friend from website or from application. Okay, we call those channel as a omni channel. Okay, so when she goes to a brick and mortar store, she just go there and then get her new friends. Okay, but most of us, okay, maybe like most of us, she think that she will find a new friend through web store or apps. Okay, so she order from apps or websites, and then what happened? Yeah, what happened next? Of course, her order goes to fulfillment center, either in store or decentralized warehouse. So when the fulfillment center got her order, okay, they package the order and then find delivery partner, okay, and then the delivery partner will deliver her new friend to her house, yeah, to customer. Therefore, this we call as a last mile omni-channel supply chain. Okay? Therefore, today we talk about this last mile channel supply chain. From this story, we can say the definition from Ceresis that the last mile logistic refers to the final step of delivery process from a distribution center or facility to the end user. Therefore, today I only focus on this last mile logistic, a small part of logistic. And then if we talk about last mile logistic, we cannot split from e-commerce. It's like two sides of a coin. Okay, last mile logistic and e-commerce. Forrester from Forrester, it said that now e-commerce market is currently about $370 billion US. And then up to now, maybe only approximately 8.5% of total retail sales. But later we will see that this number will increase differently during this pandemic period. Okay. And then it is interesting from McKinsey and company found that 20% of people in America, China, and Germany willing to pay a premium for the same day delivery. So they are willing to pay for premium same day delivery, only 25%, and only 5% would pay for reliable time delivery. And then 70% of them will prefer cheapest option. I think this is a similar situation, yeah, in our country like Malaysia and Indonesia. Maybe I don't know, maybe 70 or maybe more. People option is the cheapest delivery cost. Okay. This is one of challenge of last mile logistics. Later we will talk about this. And if we can say that there are many channels for or methods for last mile delivery. We can use a postman or postal courier. This is a favorably priced shipment, but high price for express. But maybe in some country, there's not quite reliable for the postman and postal courier. Most of us using a courier because it's fast and it's fast for delivery and pick up. Yeah. But sometimes they have a higher price, but sometimes we can find cheapest one even free. Okay. Also, there is like a delivery points of shipments. Okay, but I think it is not quite popular today. Yeah. Also, delivery by e-shop vehicle. Yeah. It is good for delivery time according to agreement. Yeah, and then also some we can use like parcel lockers. Maybe it's quite popular in some countries like Singapore, but in Indonesia it's not quite popular for parcel lockers because mostly, yeah, the lockers are located inside the building. Yeah, mostly like in the mall, so no access for 24-hour 7. Okay, this is like a method for delivery, and we can see now the structural changes related to the last mile delivery. Okay. In 2020, business to consumer parcel delivery has risen about 25%. Usually, e-commerce only increase maybe 15 to 16%, but different in this pandemic time, it increased around 25%. Later, we will see the other data. And then consumer increasingly buy new types of products, yeah, and then they consider about environmental and health impact when buying. Therefore, decarbonization of last mile delivery also has great focus for some consumers. Later, I will explain a little bit about this decarbonization because my last research with my student showed that in this pandemic period, we simulate that decarbonization of last mile delivery has a great impact in this pandemic 19 period. Okay, and then like Professor Prashanth told that a proven technologist will be an important thing for last mile ecosystem revolution. And then later we will see that there are some new business model, okay, to meet increased demand for sustainable delivery vehicles. Okay, this is data comparison from Slovak Republic. I got from one paper that the growth of e-commerce year on year in 2019 it's only 10%, but year on year growth March 2020 is 54%, more than 5 times than a regular period. Okay, and this 5 ways that the pandemic has altered the world of delivery. Okay, deliveries will grow exponentially. Okay, maybe similar like Dr. Prashanth said that maybe I'm not familiar with this online order. Okay, but now we have to use this method to order our demand. Therefore, deliveries will grow exponentially. Of course, drivers will be more in demand than ever. Okay, maybe before last year or 2 years ago, maybe we just got our parcel maybe not more than 5 p.m. But now, yeah, I can get my parcel at 8 p.m. even at 9 p.m. And then contact-free deliveries will be the norm. Okay. Also, this one, the point number 4, free delivery a continued challenge. Does consumer want a free delivery? Yeah. If not a free, just a cheap delivery price. Okay. So this is the challenge for logistic side to give unquote free delivery to a consumer. Of course, we cannot give them a free, but this is a challenge for last mile logistic company to reduce their price. Okay. And then autonomous delivery vehicles will grow later. This, of course, one way to reduce the delivery cost. I want to show a little bit about my simple research with my students last semester, but we just have research for food consumption. Yeah, for food consumption. Later, maybe we can improve the research for other stuff. Yeah, not only food, but for this time we only focus on food. Maybe we will have a collaboration between Petra and UCSI to have a little research, yeah, simple research according to this last mile logistics. This is about food consumption, and then we have data from data before COVID and then during COVID-19. Then it is interesting that there are some consumer changes in food consumption. Okay, because of time limitation, I cannot explain all of it, but maybe if some of you interesting, we can discuss it later for this case study. So, what will be the last mile delivery trends? Okay. First is like crowd sourcing. Okay, example like Amazon Flex. Okay, where if we have a car, okay, and then we can join the Amazon Flex, and then we can deliver from Amazon delivery station to the consumers, or from the local stores and to the consumers. Okay. Because this new model can reduce the cost. Also, like smart technology for tracking, because consumer want to track their order, okay, their shipment progress. Not also consumer, but also retailers. Retailers want to monitor the weather patterns, and they want to monitor the delivery roads, and also robotic delivery, like Amazon Prime. They just start robotic delivery. Also drones, like mentioned before. Also, new trends about rapid order fulfillment. Okay, improving warehouse management system to be more or to be faster than and more economic than before. Also, like urban warehouses. Okay. Now maybe many shopping mall is empty, yeah, and more and it could be closed, yeah. But some retailers can start to explore option, yeah, from transitioning vacant storefronts in shopping malls into fulfillment center. They change the function of a store in shopping malls to be a fulfillment center. Also, insourcing deliveries, okay, and then some retailers, instead using outsource, yeah, they try to manage their own fleet vehicles. Okay, and then the last one is a hybrid fleet management system. It's a combination of using trucking company on fleet and paired with a contractor, joined with third-party providers. Yeah. Therefore, the fleet management system not only use one type of fleet, but many channel. Okay, this my presentation, because I think I already 3 minutes more than time available for me, and this is reference, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Pak Gede, for the presentation. Yeah, I think both of our speakers today complete each other with Mr. Prashanth explaining more on the strategy, and Pak Gede explaining more on the implementation on the real world. Now, We already opened the question on the form. You can fill up the form if you have question, but currently we also already have some question which I'm going to have to address to our speaker. Perhaps we will start with question for Mr. Prashanth. Okay, this is one of the question, Mr. Prashanth. You said that one of the challenge is delay on shipment during this pandemic. How can we overcome from the logistic companies' perspective? Because they have to connect with many stakeholders, and this kind of delay sometimes is very difficult to overcome. Now, how to overcome this kind of delay, especially like during this pandemic when their port is closed or they are short of people who can handle it because limitation of workers and everything. Perhaps you can give us some enlightenment on how this we can overcome these challenges. And time, I give you to Mr. Prashanth.
Thank you so much, Felecia. Wonderful question, actually, in overcoming delays. Frankly speaking, this problem of delay has been present even before the pandemics. We faced it in many modes of transportation, maritime transportation. We have it. It's just that this pandemic has exposed the quantum, like I said just now, that 10 weeks that I mentioned was a minimal delay that has been taking place. Now, when it comes, because of this pandemic, right, the delays have taken place due to policies by governments, cross-border limitations. This is what that has affected the majority of the delay process. But there was another thing, all right? There was another thing that when they did a research, when they really went in depth, what really caused another aspect of it was the lack of resources. For example, production facilities slowed down because they didn't have enough inventories, enough supplies to carry out their processes. So that we also consider as delay. Now, this is the reason that I mentioned just now, that particular word called glocalized. It's being coined around, many are starting to speak about it in terms of glocalization. What it means here is that many companies, whether manufacturers or retailers, they were so much into this thing called just in time. They wanted to keep limited inventory so that they could be very lean, agile, keep their costs down. But what this pandemic has taught us, we need to move away from just in time. Manufacturers are finding two things. They would rather have more stock up in terms of raw materials and their inventories. That is one thing, rather than just in time. So this is where the logistics can assist them in that part of it, in terms of that. Secondly, is their sourcing opportunities, where they look for their supplies, where they look for their raw materials. These delays were because of cross borders, right? They couldn't move between borders. So what manufacturers are doing, what the big companies are doing, they are starting to look at having alternatives in terms of their procurement strategies. Where can we source from? We could source, yes, we need sources from global perspectives, yes, but we need to have our alternatives towards or nearer to our facilities. So these are some of the ways initially that, other than the policy part, because if governments close the borders for indefinite times, that we can't do anything, but we would be able to assist from an internal perspective.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Mr. Prashanth. Yes, we feel that before this in industrial engineering, we learned so much about lean manufacturing and how we keep everything minimized. But this pandemic really affect a lot on this this inventory level strategy to us. And now I will continue to the second question. Perhaps we can move to Pak Gede. It's still related to the first question. Yes, this one is that there's a lot of many online shops nowadays that using the last mile delivery methods. And this one usually will require more inventory because it will bring the product closer to the customer, but it also means that that last mile delivery logistic, it will need more inventory from the company perspective. Is this true, or we can do something with this strategy? How to keep the cost minimum, but we can keep our product close to the customer using the last mile logistic? This question is for Pak Gede. Perhaps Pak Gede can help us to answer this.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Felecia. Okay, some company, they calculate their demand first, and then they make a different strategy first. When they think that the demand is not big enough, okay, they just deliver from their warehouse, okay. And then when they think that and they calculate that their demand already big enough, okay, they have a strategy to develop like a local warehouse. Of course, it will increase their cost, but it make them closer to their customer, and then it will make cheaper, okay, if the demand quite big, and then it will make it faster to deliver to their of course, some of them, they cooperate with third-party logistic who offer some area or some space for their products. Okay, so they don't need to operate their warehouse by themselves, but they can use this third-party logistic to handle their inventory.
Okay, thank you, Pak Gede. Now we will move to another question, and this one will be back to Mr. Prashanth. The question is about one of the strategy is we need to implement strategy industry 4.0 with more advancement in the technology, especially like robots or like the autonomous car with drones and everything. But this one will require a high investment. How do you think the company should put this high investment, especially during this pandemic? So when their income is like decreasing a lot, but they also need to invest in industry 4.0. Is there any way that we can compensate between these two conditions? Reinvest in industry 4.0 and also try to balance the cash flow in the company because the sales is going down. Perhaps Mr. Prashanth can give us some ideas for this situation.
Thank you, Felecia. In any kind of introduction of technology automation, the very first question that companies would definitely bring up is cost. But what we have realized, okay, in terms of researches that have been done recently, is that small and medium enterprises, which is actually the backbone of our country here in Malaysia, and I presume in all Southeast Asian countries, they have basically not even looked at Industry 4.0 components yet as part of their strategy. It has always been on bringing down costs, but from traditional perspectives, like getting your workers to work more, increase their productivity, making them work overtime, producing more, those kind of aspects. I do understand that the pandemic has blunted, has reduced their ability to invest. But there is one investment that any company can do anytime, regardless of the situation. That is to invest in their people. People of the organization are considered the biggest strength in moving forward. Now, what we need to understand here is that any kind of minor improvements that we can portray, we can show them. For example, innovation. If you believe it or not, certain innovation processes does not require heavy investments. All it requires is the ability to empower, to provide the right tool for our employees to move forward. So the first step here is to engage our employees, to get them part of the business. That is one. And secondly, as I said, is more on the collaboration. When I said that we cannot pursue things individually, we need to collaborate between the players. Now, this is where we need to understand, the more we collaborate, the more we engage. For example, manufacturers and suppliers, or the manufacturers and distributors, or perhaps retailers and their distributors, depending on whoever they are. The more we collaborate, the more we learn and share. And as we share, we develop ideas, we redesign the thinking process. This would be an initial start towards improving and enhancing the industrial 4.0. There are many companies, yeah, if you only look at the major corporate ones, they are the ones who could actually pursue these autonomous robots, the drones. If you look at UPS, if you look at Amazon, these are the guys that have been pursuing the drone technology. Even DHL and UPS pursuing autonomous vehicles. Yes, because of their capacity, their availability of it in terms of capital. But the smaller ones need to focus on these areas. And when they do this, in the future, they would be able to further improve on their activities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Prashanth. Okay, perhaps this one will be the last question because it's almost 5 p.m., almost the end of our time. The last question will be for Pak Gede. Because this is about the last mile delivery. We have a question about, is this last mile delivery method only feasible for big companies because it takes a lot of new technologies like robot, drones, or warehouse management? Is it possible for small, medium enterprises to consider the last mile delivery as one of their strategies to overcome this pandemic crisis? Please, Pak Gede.
Sorry, I forgot to. Okay, thank you, Ms. Felecia. Of course, if we want to invest by ourselves, it could be a big investment. Okay, but fortunately, we have a third player in this supply chain, in this logistic. Before, when I have a deep research in supply chain, and I have a deep concern in supply chains, I quite have a big worry in the supply chain. Why? Because in the supply chain concept, the biggest or the most important thing is collaboration. And then when two companies, they have to collaborate, should be have like two side benefit. And then which company can collaborate? There are the company that has a big concept or a big influence. There's two big companies. The first company went with the second, and then the second went to the first company. So they have those two companies have to have the similar capacity for a put of them. And then the smaller company, it could be close because the big company don't want to collaborate with them. But fortunately, there are some technology companies that can help the smaller company to become collaboration by themselves together, and then they can join with this supply chain okay. Therefore, for small and medium company, they have to join with the technology company that offer better way to collaborate with a bigger company. I think the technology company will be the safer for the small and medium companies this time.
Okay, thank you, Pak Gede, for the answer, and also Mr. Prashanth for all the material and the answers also. Yeah, we hope we have more questions actually, but we cannot discuss everything. But I try to have a question that represent all other questions. So perhaps I can conclude for our today's seminar that the resilience through logistics. The keywords here actually resilience, because like Mr. Prashanth said that this pandemic is a black swan event, something that we never expect to happen, but it's actually already happening, and it's changed the whole global condition, and we have to adapt. And how we adapt, especially in this logistic, we need to invest firstly in the human, because human resources is probably the backbone of this business. So we need to invest in the human first, and then also do the technology and collaboration with the partners, because we cannot work alone in this kind of situation. We must help each other and make this to go through to this pandemic. And from Pak Gede, we learned about the last mile logistic, because I think this is one of the way we survive or adapt in this kind of situation. We become to the logistic companies nowadays to have all our products, all our groceries, or everything that we need to be brought to our doorstep. And for this company, they need to adapt and start using this last mile logistic as their partner, so they can bring their product, their service closer to the customer. And yes, it will require investment, but the technology company could help this to make it more easier, to make it more affordable to the customer. Perhaps this is all that I can conclude for our today's seminar. I will give the time and place back to our MC, Nyoto. Please, Nyoto.
Thank you very much, Ms. Felecia, as today's moderator. Also, thank you very much to Mr. Gede and also Mr. Prashanth as the speakers for today's webinar. I hope that the topics that have been brought by Mr. Prashanth and also Mr. Gede would be insightful for all the audience members. Dear honored ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our event. But before we close today's webinar, I would like to invite you to open your camera for a few moments, and I will help to document our webinar today. So with all due respect, please turn on your camera, and I will take a few screenshots. Thank you very much for your cooperation. We have around 4 pages here, so please be patient. Okay, I think we are good with the first page. Okay. Okay, we're going to the second page. Okay. Okay, now the third page. Now the last page. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you for your participation in this little documentation. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to say sorry if we have any mistakes or any inconveniences that you feel throughout this event. And once again, thank you for participating in this Industrial Engineering webinar series, a collaboration by Petra Christian University and also UCSI Malaysia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you in future events. Bye.
Thank you, Nyoto.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Prashanth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Prashanth.
Thank you, Miss Felecia.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Gede, Dr. Harry. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Prashanth.
Just dream about that moment when you look yourself right in the eye, then you say